welcome to more with the Mac Interactive session. We're going to have some short demos. We're going to have some Q&A. We're even going to have some special guests stop by. So sit back, relax, get your notes and ask questions, and enjoy more with the Mac Interactive. All right, I'm Trainer Cliff. The schedule. Right now, as it stands, we are going to go with every week. Monday will be a recording on YouTube, and Thursday will be the interactive session until the last Monday and Thursday of February. After that, we will go once a week until the last week of May. After that, the class is over until next season. So I haven't decided what week it's going to be yet. I'm thinking the third because I have some other stuff going on the fourth week. So it's probably going to be the third Monday and the third Thursday. I will let you know. And if you're on the calendar, you don't have to worry. Second order of business. I've gotten a few emails and some feedback from different sources. My mom always told me that your closed mouth don't get fed. If you have a question, no question is a stupid question. Except one of my professors used to tell me the only question that's a stupid question is the question that you don't ask. But if you don't ask me or anybody on the trainer team with an email or whatever means we give you to reach us, we won't know that you're having struggles or troubles. So if there's a question that you have between classes, send an email. If I can't answer it, if Trainer Matt can't answer it, if anybody on the team can't answer it, we will address it in the next interactive session. Maybe we'll do a demonstration of it and present it. But if we don't know, we can't help you. So if you want to know an answer to a question that is bugging you or you just can't get through it, then you have to email us, support@ttjtech.net. That will get all your questions answered, usually within 24 to 48 hours. And if, like I said, we can't answer it in that email, we'll contact you or we'll answer it in the next interactive session, or maybe I'll just plug it into the next recorded class on Monday. But if I don't know, I can't help you. What do they say? You don't know what you don't know.
I'm a stickler for those fundamentals. Anybody who's ever taken our classes knows that. But, you know, especially...
Yeah, I've had to put up with it for the last 4 years. So, I mean... but no, I mean, it's really a great foundation on where you start, because you can't just jump into Mail or jump into Safari or jump in. You
Right.
have to get it from the ground up. You have to put your toe in the water and ease your foot in, because if you just try to jump, you're not going to learn anything. You might learn it eventually, but if you had to listen to the presentation that Matt did or went through the quick start tutorial, you would have learned that these are the keys that I need to press. This is what I need to do to interact. This is what I need to do to go back. So if you don't pay attention to those fundamentals, you know, I mean, I was a wrestling coach for 15 years, and everybody always asked me, well, how I was successful, because I started from the ground up. I can show you some advanced moves, but what good is it going to do you if you don't know how to keep your balance? What good is it going to do you if you don't know how to be in your stance? So
exactly,
you have to start from the ground up.
Our question is: in the course will there be modules about the time machine and the finder?
The finder, definitely. Time machine is, I'm not going to say it's not necessary, but it's not one of the things you need to know as a beginner per se. I'll touch on it, and maybe I'll even do a short demo about it and just throw it up on YouTube, but it's not one of those things that if you don't know it, you're not going to kill your Mac. So
okay, well, we're covering the finder though.
Oh yeah, the finder has to be covered. And a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's coming this Monday coming up. I think I already put it up there.
I think that might be right. And Jennifer, just to supplement what he said, this is Matt. I think if you are really, really seriously interested in using Time Machine to keep backups, the most important thing you can do is get yourself a good external hard drive. If you're not comfortable with things like disk utility and reformatting and all that, then just go to the Apple Store website or Apple Store app and buy yourself a hard drive that's already formatted for the Mac. You can get them probably as cheap as $80. And then when you physically connect that, now depending on what Mac you have, you might need an adapter too. But when you physically connect it, all the really critical stuff is going to happen automatically. You're going to get pop-ups. Do you want to use this with Time Machine? And it's pretty, straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. Like the one thing that I've been repeating in both my presentations, even before and after, Matt. If you listen to VoiceOver, whatever voice you're using, it will tell you exactly what to do, all the time, every time.
I hope that you will cover. Because I'm struggling because I can't use first navigation very easily in Finder, and I'm having trouble quickly and productively using it to get to my files.
You said first letter navigation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and like I changed it to list view, but sometimes it still seems like folders are open when I don't think they should be, and it's just kind of
that gets kind of tricky because if you had that folder open when you were not in list view or you were using quick nav on or off, that's the determining factor, because it really behaves really different when you have quick nav off. The right arrow expands a folder, the left arrow collapses it. If list view is on, if you have list view on but you don't have quick nav, but you have quick nav on, then left arrow and right arrow is not going to collapse and expand those.
Oh, so they do expand them with quick nav off even in list view.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yep, that is true. So if you interact with it and use first letter navigation without using your left or right arrow, then you'll be fine. But if you're hitting the right arrows, just like in mail, I'm not to jump ahead, but if you're in a mail thread, if quick nav is off, left or right will expand, left will collapse.
Right. And I've been playing more with quick nav since you talked about it last week. And this leads me to my second question, is kind of from Matt, what he said about the Trackpad Commander.
You're talking to the right person, because mine is still in the plastic.
Well, I mean, I turned it on to play with it because after what you said, Matt, last week, or Monday rather, not last week, but Monday, about how, you really like it because it's like the iPhone. And I found that it can be useful, but my problem with it is that I tend to bump it. And I'm like writing an email to somebody and all of a sudden I end up somewhere in left field and I'm like, where did I go? And I'm trying to figure my way back to where I was and see what I might have typed into somewhere else.
Before Matt goes, the one thing you can do if you bump it, because more times than not, I do know this much about the trackpad, if you bump it or accidentally swipe it with your palm or something, it usually just throws you back into another window or the Finder. If you just command tab, you should just get right back to where you are.
Yeah, actually, that's really all I can say about that too. Is command tab is probably going to be the best option there if it gets you out of focus or something.
Not to cut you
off,
Matt,
I didn't know if there was a sensitivity that you could set or something.
Right, and the other thing I was going to say, if you know you're going to be in a long email, just turn the Trackpad Commander off until you get done and then turn it back on.
Right, and you said, and I forget, what was that keystroke, or not that keystroke, but the gesture that you used to do that? Because I always forget what that is.
It's actually the rotor gesture, the two finger, clockwise or counterclockwise, but you have to hold down the VO keys while you're doing it if you want to turn it on or off.
Okay,
I think there is a sensitivity setting. I don't know how it affects voiceover gestures, though, to be honest with you. I don't. I mean, it may. I don't know.
Will we cover how to make where I don't need to use my function key to use my F1 through F whatever keys?
That actually was covered on Monday.
Oh, he said he was going to cover it, but I didn't hear where in system settings or system preferences.
Well, I'll tell you now. It's in system preferences under keyboards, and all the way at the end, it'll say use function keys as standard function keys, and there's a checkbox. You either check it if you want to, or leave it unchecked if you don't. For anybody else, if there's anything that we haven't covered so far, or you think that we may not cover, please send us an email and give us recommendations or suggestions, because if we get enough people wanting to know about certain things that we don't consider basic, then we'll cover it. But again, like I said at the beginning, closed mouth don't get fed, and we ain't mind readers. Matt's talented, but I mean, he's not that good. So just send us an email to support@ttjtech.net. Give us your suggestions, what you want to know about, whatever it is. We'll make a list, and we'll go from there.
Great. I really would appreciate it, again, because I have a reminder that pops up right now, and I don't know what to do to get rid of it. So I really would appreciate it.
Well, the one thing I can tell you about that is if you do the actions command, which is VO command spacebar and arrow down, it will give you options like close, dismiss all, view, stuff like that.
I've hit the VO spacebar, and it
nope. Add the command key and the space, and then hit the spacebar, and you'll get exactly what you want. To adjust your settings in any settings in Zoom, of course, it's the standard. This is what Matt likes to talk about, which is predictable patterns. And I don't care what app you go to, whether it's Safari, Mail, Messages, whatever. Finder is always going to be the same. Command comma will take you to your preferences. In that preference table, you're going to see, it's going to say settings. We're talking about Zoom now, to adjust your Zoom settings.
Right.
So you'll hit command comma. The first thing that VoiceOver should say is settings. Just to the right of that word settings, it's going to say general table. You know that there's a table there, so you interact there, and that's where you would adjust any settings you want to. If you want to adjust the specific announcements, which drives me up the wall also, go all the way to the bottom. And to do that quickly, I have a commander for it, but I'm going to tell you how to do it with your keyboard, which is the VO keys, the function key, and the right arrow. That'll take you all the way to the bottom. Once you get there, it's going to say accessibility. Stop interacting with that table and go over to the right and interact with the scroll area. This is what Matt was talking about. When you double down, you got to get into those different sections of interacting. Once you interact with the scroll area, it's going to give you a bunch of options. But the one that you want to listen for is screen reader announcements. Once you get to that, you're going to interact again. This is going to be the third time you interact in this particular section, and you check and uncheck the announcements that you want to hear or don't want to hear. There's two reasons why your VoiceOver is not speaking when you turn it on.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Either one, you have File Vault enabled, and it's never going to speak because it wants you to enter your username and password exactly as you set it up. Or two, you haven't went into System Preferences, Users and Accounts, and enabled it under Accessibility.
Enabled what?
VoiceOver at the login screen.
VoiceOver at the login screen.
Got it. Okay, I said that's possible. I'll check it. Thanks.
So you will go to System Preferences, Users and Accounts. Of course, you have to unlock the thing to give it permission to make changes. Go to the very bottom and go over to where it says Accessibility. This is the one time on the Mac that you actually have to hit save. When you go in there and you hit the checkbox for VoiceOver, you got to go over to save, and once you do that, VoiceOver will come on at the logon screen.
I have never heard that. Thank you.
Yep,
no problem.
Just to reiterate, if you do like Cliff said, if you have File Vault enabled, that's not going to matter. The best you can do is when you turn on your Mac, wait a minute and then do your Command F5 and it's going to beep. And then you have to type in your username, press return. It'll beep twice. You got to type in your password and then press return one more time and it'll beep 3 times and it'll log you in.
Well, the place where it actually tells you, and I actually went over this in my very, very first recording, week 1. I couldn't demonstrate it because it's in the setup process of your Mac, but it's right after it asks you to choose accessibility features, which I always skip. Right. There's a box that asks you if you want to enable the File Vault, and it tells you what it does. You could miss it though if you're really going fast. That's why I tell in each recording that I've said to make sure you take your time, make sure you explore all of what's on the screen, because if you don't, you could miss it and it'll be turned on.
Exactly right. You're exactly right.
And the other thing you could do,
I didn't realize that because I didn't listen to the entire session because I wasn't in that one, so I figured why bother.
And then the other thing you could do, but the other thing you could do too is also miss the 20-digit key that it tells you to save. So if you have that enabled,
you do File Vault,
and then you lock it up, and you don't have that key or come into your iCloud, you're screwed. There's nothing Apple can do for you. Absolutely
I meant about
nothing.
turning on VoiceOver at the logon screen.
Oh yeah,
that's
what
I meant.
I know what you meant, but me and Matt just wanted to make sure that they knew about the File Vault because that is a very important piece. Because if you miss that and you lose that activation key or unlock key, there's nothing Apple can do for you. Nothing. I don't even think, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, you can't even get a new hard drive put in because it's continued to the motherboard, not the actual.
Because it's part of the logic board. Well,
Yep.
right, and of course now the SSD is on the chip anyway, isn't it? With
Right.
the M1s.
For what we're trying to accomplish here, which is
Right.
get people started with the basics and make sure they know the predictable patterns and how apps are laid out, so they know how to, learn things on their own. I mean, for lack of a better term, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I mean, I can't teach you everything. I can't hold your hand through everything. Matt can't, detail everything. We're showing you the patterns, the basics, and the way things go, because 99% of the time they're all exactly the same. You just have to know. VOM, like Matt explained, get to your file menu. VOMM to get to the status bar. Command comma to get to your system preferences. All those things are true in every app that you open on the Mac. I don't care if it's made by a third party or if it's made by Apple. That's how you're going to get to your menu options and your system preferences every time.
Is there a quick keystroke? Since I've been playing with QuickNav 2 more since you said you really like it. Is there a quick keystroke to interact when you're in QuickNav mode besides just, I don't know if the VO shift down works as well in QuickNav?
It does, but you can all...
It does. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I might be wrong now, Cliff. I just wanted to show off a little bit, but what is it? It's the right and the down arrow together to interact.
Cool.
And then is it right and up or left and up to stop interacting?
Left and up, I think.
Left and up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Y'all
And
both
to
wrong.
go through those.
We're both wrong?
Y'all both wrong. It's left. It's down and right to interact, and it's down and left to stop interacting. Left and up is to turn the rotor.
That's right.
Okay. So it is down and right to start.
I knew that.
But it's down and left to stop. Okay.
Down and
Right.
left.
Yeah,
So you don't need your left hand essentially to interact when you're using.
That's
when you're doing
that's why I wanted to
That's
be
why I
able to
like
do it,
it.
so I
Yeah.
could use my right
too.
hand to do everything.
I'm trying to copy files from my Mac to my iCloud, and they're in the folder. And when I copy it, the folder copies, but there's no files underneath it. What am I doing wrong?
Now, what do you mean underneath it? You mean when you open the folder?
Yeah, like when on the Mac, there's files in the underneath in the folder, but when I put it on iCloud, the files aren't there.
Voiceover off.
That's weird because if you're copying the folder that the files are in, it should
That's
go to
what I
iCloud
thought.
regardless.
Thank you.
That's odd. Now, the only thing that I could figure is maybe QuickNav is off and you expanded the folder and you're copying the top of the folder, or you're at the top of the folder pushing Command C, and that's not going to copy the folder because the folder is open. Make sure the folder's closed or collapsed before you copy it to try to move it to the iCloud.
Right. And here's another thought. My voiceover, I was looking through the list of hands, so I kind of missed part of the question, but I think you said you're copying a folder to iCloud Drive and the folder appears, but not the files.
Correct.
Okay. So the other thing you could try, there's no reason you should have to do this. This makes no logical sense, but a workaround would be open the folder, select all, copy, and then just paste the files into another folder that you create yourself on iCloud Drive. Okay. Again, there's absolutely no reason you should have to do it that way, but it would be worth a try to see what happens.
Sure.
My question is this: when I used to turn on my iMac, it always said "Welcome to" and VoiceOver is running. Ever since I started, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but ever since I started doing the quick start and the typing, practicing the typing by doing VoiceOver K, that sort of thing. When I turn my computer on now, I have the hardest time trying to get VoiceOver to come on.
Janice, Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. I know that it's Command and F5,
right?
And I keep pressing that, but nothing seems to happen.
What year is your Mac? What year is the Mac?
It's old.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it is, but it's,
therein lies the problem, because every Intel Mac that I have used in the past several years, which is not very many because I'm an iPad guy, not a Mac guy, but every Intel Mac, including a very high-end 27-inch iMac that I had for 2 months and then sold, Cliff.
Pretty much.
Even that one had that issue. And the only thing, unless Cliff knows something I don't, which never happens. No, I'm just kidding. The only thing you can do is when you turn it on is just be patient and just wait it out. Keep doing that, and eventually it will start talking. Or don't shut it down completely. Just put it to sleep so that it's quicker. But every Intel-based Mac that I have seen in the past few years has that exact issue. Once in a blue moon, it'll actually say "Welcome to Mac OS." Voiceovers on, but typically it just won't. It just will, load, and eventually it'll work. But it's a very long boot process on those Intel Macs nowadays.
Okay, well, you're exactly right, because that's what I do. I try it several times, and then I get up and I walk away, and then I go back, and then it will eventually be there.
Yep.
That disturbs me. That's Windows behavior.
Well, it's Intel. That's the thing. It doesn't happen on the M1 Mac, as you know.
Yeah.
It's no problem there.
Well, I almost never shut my Mac down, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, right. And that was a big reason not to shut it down in and of itself, to be honest with you, because you would wait several minutes for it to really be ready to go,
Right.
Hey, just to sharpen the point so I can get it. When you're talking about the touchpad, and that you can mute VoiceOver temporarily, there is no key command for that other than using the touchpad, correct?
Technically, no.
Technically not correct.
The reason I say that is because I created a key commander to do just that. So
okay,
it's not built in, but you can customize it.
Okay, cool. Well, when I learn more, I'll customize.
Okay.
Hey, but I really enjoy this, and I've been working on Mac off and on, and had to quit, go back to PC, and and then finally, I'm trying to stick with it. So I'm going to be hanging in there with you guys.
All right. Well, we'll do our best to make sure that we keep you enticed.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Eventually, I do want to upgrade because I've been hearing so many great things, especially about the Mac Mini M1. Oh, I was debating whether I should get the M1 Mac Mini or the Mac Air M1. As far as power, speed, stability, which one do you guys? I'm sure both of them are just as well, but which one do you guys suggest would be the best one to get?
That's gonna come more down to your preference of form factor.
I probably don't want to travel much with my. I probably don't want to travel much with Mac. I probably want to have that as my home base Mac. So probably I'm thinking my M1. Especially Cliff, you have one, so you would be able to be more prepared to tell me whether that's a good choice for me.
Well, I actually don't have a Mac. I don't have a Mac Mini. I have an iMac, but I did own a Mac Mini. And if you were going to go for straight power, then that's where I would go because you get more bang for your buck. Now, you do know that you'd have to buy a keyboard, and that's pretty much it.
Like I told you before, I use external keyboard for everything.
Okay, yeah. So, and then
if I don't want to use a monitor, if I don't want to have a monitor with it, is it okay?
Yes, it is. The only thing that I would suggest, though, is at least have an HDMI cord going to your HD TV, just in case you need decided help. But you do not have to buy a monitor for it.
I got cords up the yin yang, so that's fine.
But that's what I would do for power if it was a Mac Mini, especially because the Mac Mini gives you so much flexibility, especially with Bluetooth. I mean, when I had my Mac Mini, I would put on my Bluetooth headphones, take my Bluetooth keyboard, and go sit on the couch 2 rooms away, and it worked just fine. So
I do plan one day to get myself one of those AirPod Pros Max.
Yep. So it basically was a makeshift laptop. So.
Asked another question that's pertaining with our iMac. But it's when we come on the meetings. I'm always missing the Mondays meetings. So there
is no Monday meeting, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'll answer your question because the Monday meeting is actually the YouTube playlist. But can everybody else who does it? And I'm gonna send an email out about this too, because I probably get 3 emails a day saying somebody has joined more with the Mac Interactive. It's not until Thursday at 7 o'clock. I don't know why people are clicking that link and going into the room. I guess maybe they want to hang out and chat or something. I have no idea. But the recording is Mondays at 1 Central, 2 Eastern, 12 Pacific, or 12 Mountain, 11 Pacific. If you're in another country, just ask Siri. But that's always going to be a recording on YouTube. It's a playlist called Mac iOS or Mac OS 12.
Okay.
Thursdays is the only live session at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. So any other day before 7 o'clock, I'm not going to be there.
I want to mention that I did get the other newsletter. I'm interested in the other course with the pages, but you're not going to cover pages on the Mac because you've already got that one cafe, right? It's something that's separate.
I do, but I'm gonna do a little more digging into it and see if I can give you guys a little more detail than that presentation.
Okay.
It was a good presentation, but I know there's people like you and others that want a little more detail in tour, I guess, for lack of a better term. They want a little more detail in experience, I guess, for Pages. So I have a book on it. I actually have a couple of books on it. Pages is not one of the apps that I use, but I know enough to make me dangerous, but I don't know enough to write a book. That's Matt, but he does it on the iPad. But if I'm not mistaken, you pretty much can probably implement everything on the iPad and iOS that you can on Mac OS. So it's just probably a little, menu options or settings are probably located differently, but at the end of the day, it's probably pretty much the same. There's some documents that I'm going to be adding here in the next couple of weeks. Keyboard commands for Pages, numbers, Keynote, and all kinds of stuff. So, and these are things that I want you guys to read on your own. It's nothing I'm gonna give you a test on. It's nothing I'm gonna present, but it's definitely gonna be helpful if those are apps that you plan on using.
And I'm certainly going to try to migrate over to the Mac. I'm not going to do my business with it.
Yeah, I know. I remember talking to you last year. You were still on the fence last year, so.
Well, I'm slowly working on it, but between freelancing, it's just Mac is one of those things. It's like Windows. You got to slowly build yourself up to it.
Yep, I know. I started using my Mac back in 2010, and I probably didn't dump my PC interaction until probably about 2016. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it took me a long time because whenever I got stuck on something, mainly Safari. So me and Safari, we were not friends for the first 4 years of my life with the Mac, and I'm not joking. I hated Safari. Whenever I had to go do something on the web, I launched up my virtual machine and I jumped into Internet Explorer. I'm telling you, it was no hesitation. But one day I said, you know what? Safari's not about to beat me. I'm about to beat it. So I sat down with it little by little, did a little reading, did a little making mistakes, and there was probably some swear words and some stuff thrown at the wall, but hey, I learned it. So
Cliff, thank you for saying what you did about Safari, because that is where I have my biggest hang up. I try and do something on Amazon or another website, and I'm like, oh man, this is too slow. Screw this. And I go to my Windows PC.
Yep. But you know what it is? So, it's not knowing. Because once you know what you're doing, it goes so much smoother. I'll just, another
that was very encouraging to me.
Another little teaser. I know I said it wasn't going to jump ahead, but for those who are brave enough, a quick teaser for Safari. If you feel like jumping into it, if you haven't already, if you open up Safari and you hold down the VO keys and hit the letter Q, that's going to turn single letter navigation on. Make sure quick nav is on.
Yeah, you said that last week.
Yep, make sure quick nav is on.
Lifesaver.
Yep, make sure quick nav is on, and then you'll be able to navigate by headings, tables, links, checkboxes, whatever you want. Because that's people's hang-up. They don't know their way around Safari, but if you know what you're doing, it goes a lot faster. All right, well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Remember,
thank you so much, everyone.
If you want to be added to the notes folder, if you're not already there, send an email to support@ttjtech.net. The recording will be up at 1 Central on Monday, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining More with the Mac Interactive. If you didn't get your questions answered or you have another concern, email support@ttjtech.net. I'm Trainer Cliff. Thanks for joining us.